Good day, everyone. This is Reverend Bobby here on The Journey, Volume 1. And today I have my friend, Reverend Lisa Ray, with me. Hello, Reverend Lisa Ray. How are you today?
I am wonderful, Reverend Bobby, and so happy to be here today.
I'm so happy you could come. You be just wonderful all the time. Um, in life, and as we get to going along in life and stuff, and start to build our lives the way we see them, we usually build on some foundational stuff that we accumulate in life. What was some of the things that influenced you early on in life to help you move into the place where you are in life today?
My influence in the beginning was through my Baptist teaching about the Bible and all of that the Bible holds for us. And in all of that study, I was searching. I was searching for an answer to a birthmark that I have that's at the top of my head through the bottom of my body to learn more. But it was more important than that. It was more for me to understand um, who Jesus was, who God is, who Jesus is. Let me correct that. And all of that I could get from having a closer walk with God.
And as you walked and as you learned along the way, what were some of the things that you realized that you could then stand on as you moved along in life?
That God speaks to us in many ways, number one. Um, and that God is expansive. God is everything and everyone. That was one of the things that I learned early on. And in that learning, understanding the magnificence of God as my creator, as my source, because that's what Jesus told me. Um, I learned that I started to question, how could I be a sinner if God was my creator and I was created in the image of God and God isn't a sinner? How could I be a sinner? So it kept me questioning what it is that brought that thought process into my religion, into my spiritual belief, which is from a Baptist standpoint. And I also started visiting other churches. One of my girlfriends was Catholic. I visited her church to see what Catholicism was all about. Found out it wasn't my cup of tea, but also went to a friend's mosque to see what being a Muslim was like. Also, not my cup of tea, but but it was nice to see that in every way, folks still loved and revered God. So
Yeah.
that was heartening for me.
One of the things I learned when I was doing my television outreach was I learned that people, more than anything else, speak the language of God more than the language of Baptist or Catholic or Muslim or Baha'i of Seth or whatever. They speak the language of God, which you know as the ultimate love muffin is love. And when you speak from a perspective of love, wrap everything in love as you put it out, it does not matter what discipline you may have come up under. What matters is the message of love that gets across to the people. How important would you say that is, that part right there?
That is the ultimate because
Not
God
the
is love.
ultimate, Lisa Ray.
Yes, it is. Without question, that is the ultimate. to live and learn and be the love that God created us in, and to allow ourselves to know more of what love is, because it is the most powerful. There is nothing that is more powerful than love.
What are some of the things that love that we are and we put into things? What are some of the things that it begets us? We say these things and people go but it really makes differences in our life experience. Can you share some of the things, some of those experiences that the love made a difference in?
Oh, I have a lot to choose from.
Oh, choose something, Lisa Ray. We do some
I'm
more for
choosing.
you. Don't give us all. We can do some more.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to choose from healing.
Okay.
For me, I have a journey, a personal journey, to help people understand that we are eternal beings, and that this particular lifetime that we're here, that we're in, is not the only lifetime that we have had in the past, present, or future. And the key to my understanding this was to heal things that came up in my life right here and now. And when I found out that, let's say, abandonment was an issue that I had, thinking that people didn't like me, thinking that I could not talk to people because I wasn't I wasn't considered. No one could see me. That was the feeling. Because of the abandonment, I also had a feeling of unworthiness. So those two things, when I learned that they came from, in my situation, a source that wasn't born or wasn't initiated in this lifetime. And once I found that out, I was able to look at what caused that feeling for myself in that other lifetime. When I found out the cause, I applied healing methodologies that I've learned, or modalities that I've learned through many things. And all of these healing modalities and methodologies are based in love. So using them healed myself, healed me as myself in those other lifetimes, and then had a definite, significant input or impact on my life right now.
Were the healing modalities that you used and became familiar with? Um, did you actively search these out, or did they kind of appear along the way to, give you a bump as you step through life?
It was actually both ways. Some things that I wanted to learn about. One of them that was very powerful for me was primaling. And back in the 70s, that used to be called the primal scream. And that was the ability to release emotions that you didn't even know you really had.
Oh yeah.
Right. Taking a wiffle bat and hitting up a tree, or taking a punch ball or something and hitting it, or hitting a pillow, or holding a baby or something like that, where you could release the emotion, or hitting the ground, or hugging a tree. These things helped me to identify first the emotion that I was feeling that needed to be healed. And as soon as I identified that emotion, because I would go through a list as I'm working with someone, I'd go through a list of emotions. And as soon as I hit the right one, an image would come. And this image was the cause of the emotion. And quite often, I had an instantaneous healing right then and there. And I felt elated and happy and truly loved, and felt in those instances the support and caring of my angels, my ancestors, my spirit guides, all of that. So, knowing also that you are supported on your journey was also key for me. So, as I stepped into any kind of healing, whether it was the primaling, whether it was neuralistic,
Neurolinguistic.
thank you,
Okay.
neurolinguistic programming,
Mhm.
where I could look at an experience in the back or that happened to me in this lifetime and reimagine it. What if that traumatic experience didn't happen? What
We
would your
we
life look like?
we were friend of mine, she's pretty big into Neville. And Neville is big on reimagining and reframing, because when you reimagine and reframe here, or when you reframe and imagine in some other space in life, it seems to clear all of the stuff, not only now, but in the past, quote unquote, because all of eternity exists right now, as we know,
Yes.
and in the quote unquote future of our eternal experience. Um, Once you started to clear,
Mhm.
how did that play out in your life experience?
Uh, it it did a couple things. One is that it made me um, more filled with love. It helped me to open up to other people that I had shut myself down. I was able to forgive more. And in that forgiving, it was not just a moment of forgiveness, but operating in forgiveness for experiences that I had had with other people, operating in forgiveness for the way I felt people had treated me, but most importantly, forgiving myself.
When we were in class early on,
Mhm.
as I um, traversed this spiritual journey,
Mhm.
one of the exercises was to write a forgiveness letter. So, you start in with all this stuff, but as you start to work through it, you get to the shift, you get to the point where you start to forgive yourself.
Mhm.
How powerful was that for you when you understood that the self forgiveness, maybe not the totalness of the forgiveness act itself, but a very powerful piece of the forgiveness act? How did you feel when you came up on that part, and what shifted in your life?
That took me to a level of bliss that I had never experienced before. I was completely elated, and it felt like I didn't even know that I needed to forgive myself for certain things. But when I did, there was this great weight that was lifted off of me. And it also opened up new possibilities for me. One of the forgiveness practices I did was for romantic relationships.
Mhm.
I thought back to my childhood and listed every romantic relationship that I could remember and went through that forgiveness process for each one of them. And when I did that, I went through that forgiveness process that we spoke about. I took, I wrote a letter to each one of those persons that I felt I needed to, put them in a bag, burn them. And the purpose of that was for me to be open to new relationships and not look at new relationships from the lenses of an eye that was it lenses of eyes that were impacted by prior experiences.
Now what
So that
now
was
what happened at the tribulation part, when you realized that you were the lowest common denominator in everything? How did you How did you deal with that?
First, I didn't beat myself up about it. I just acknowledged it. I said, okay, that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I noted it. I I journaled about it, released it. I released it. So, um, so the process of acknowledging that it's there, accepting that it has an impact, and releasing allowed me to move on from it. And
Did you?
and as a human living on
Mhm.
this, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. Go ahead. No, no.
Being a spiritual being, having a human existence, okay, made it so that we jump back a little bit. That's part of a new lesson that I have learned in this healing. It's not a one and done. If we think about muscles, because all of this is a spiritual muscle that we're building up.
Right.
If we think about muscles, they don't get strong by doing a lift, a weight lift one time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go back over and over again, and maybe you get tired and you stop and you get out of shape, and then you go back to it again. So this is the same thing. It's no different. So acknowledging that you have to, or that you get to do it again, is a huge step to once you acknowledge and put forth the intention to do it, that's you taking one step toward the better life, the more, or the good, and God taking the 9 steps to you for the very good.
Well, it's like once we clear, forgive ourselves, kind of get ourselves into balance, if you will,
Mhm.
that we find that it's more a deal of allowing things to come into our space and get into the flow instead of pushing our agendas and those kinds of things. How big of a challenge was that for you as you was going through the shift time? Because I got a few people doing some transformational stuff right now, and they not like it at all, zero. Because it's kind of tough, isn't it?
It is. It is. Because we want to be in control, but we're not in control. What we get to do is surrender to God's love for us and trust. And this is a lesson that I got it once and lost it and had to get it again, thanks to you, my teacher. And had to, yeah, well, it's real. Had to trust God and just completely surrender to what God had for in store for me when I asked.
Mhm.
Because that's a key point. Many of us forget to ask God for what we desire in our lives. And it doesn't matter how small or how large. It's just to do it constantly, even by saying, something coming your way, and you simply say, thank you, God.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that lesson. Thank you for this experience that I just had, that I get the opportunity to address in some way or another. If you thank God for it, God is going to give you the support, the provision, everything that you need to address it and change it.
Well, most of the time, even though the things come our way, and a lot of times they don't taste good. most of the time when we're really learning something, they don't taste good, but yet they're here for the molding, and they talk about the potter molding and stuff like that of us for our betterment and highest good. Because I was listening to you say be thankful for it all, and it's difficult, but it's really cool, isn't it?
It is. It is. I have to give an example real quick. I was working with a group that was our purpose was to reduce the gun violence in Washington D.C. And we were working on the ground, and it was very challenging. And one of the things that we were doing was having a, a neighborhood session where people could come in and speak about their experiences.
Mhm.
And I was on the board of directors, and one of the other board members said, I would like you to go and reach out to the news channels to have them come and be a part of this. And for whatever reason, I resisted that. I resisted it for a whole week. And then on the morning of the event, I was awakened at 6 a.m. And I'm going to say, God woke me up at 6 a.m., told me to get on my computer and send the invitation out to all of the local television news networks in our area. And the message came to me that our event was going to be at the top of their list. So it would be the very first thing that they saw when they came in that day. And sure enough, we had a news channel, world, nationwide, come in and film our event. And that would not have happened because it would have been buried way down deep in their list of possible stories that they could use on the news.
Now,
And
go ahead.
and the relief that I felt was so powerful. And I explained it to the other board members, and they were like, because my whole thing is, did you see the hand of God in this, the way that it turned out? And everybody was like, oh, you're right. So maybe they were a little ticked off at me for not having done it sooner. But the fact that I can't say that I was listening and that I didn't hear it, but I was resistant to doing it at that time. But the outcome was magnificent.
Well, we're always resistant to new and different
Mhm.
because it doesn't follow the quote unquote normalized way we do things or accept things. You were talking about earlier that the healing isn't a one and done, and you was on such a roll. I held it to now, but no, it's not. The healing is a way of life because you start to see through healed eyes. You start to infuse love
Mhm.
into everything that you do, and therein lies the expansion, the increase, and the growth as love, God, whatever source, a lot of different names. God carries a lot of baggage, so sometimes I don't use it. But into aligning into what is eternal,
Mhm.
what really knows what is doing simply because it's been doing it forever.
Never what it is.
But yet we hold on to the perceived control, quote unquote, that we have. As we know things sometimes that are the outer influences and the outer stuff looks to. But here we are existing in the midst of all that stuff a whole different plane of conscious awareness. Does that make you, since abandonment was in there somewhere, does that make you feel left out? Because we walking to the beat of a different drummer?
Not at all. Not anymore.
I knew you was gonna say that, because boy, that drum you be listening to.
Yeah. Yes, I do march to the beat of a different drummer than a lot of people. And just recently, I've been told this message many times. You be you. Be you, Lisa. Step out and don't hide your ability to be the love muffin, as you call me, with others. So now I speak emotionally. I just did a review of a new bakery in this area. And this bakery, I was amazed that they had more than just baked goods, but they had this huge menu of these beautiful dishes, these pastas and Mediterranean dishes, all for very reasonable prices. Mm-hmm. But I went in and all I had was a little monkey bread. The first taste I had of that monkey bread just made me go back and go, oh my gosh, this is so great. And I sat there and I took every bite that I took, I savored in my mouth. And I'm sitting there in this place and people are looking at me. It's like,
it doesn't sound like you cared too much.
Right? Yeah, it was one of those Harry met Sally moments. If you saw it in the movie where she had that, she pretended to have
the orgasm in front of everybody.
Yes. It was everything but the moaning. I did not make the noise. But that, I just wrote up a review on Google for this location because I felt that it was really necessary to get the emotional impact that I had from eating this food in this place. And most people won't talk about that. They won't talk about how it made them feel.
Well, most people are disconnected from feel because of the way that they feel when they allow themselves to feel. Mm-hmm. Because they've, for whatever reason, I'm not going to put nothing on it.
Yeah.
But, some people I've noticed, shut down that feeling nature because of, trauma or things that they said, done, or things that others had done, experiences that they had. And it becomes very hard for them to open themselves back up. I had a friend, she's pretty good. She made her transition, but I used to call her the can opener because she could open up people with love, with understanding. I mean, to a point that, sometimes it worked to her detriment because she was so loving and was so open. But we got to do it anyway, even if we experience a momentary detriment, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So, Lisa Ray, we about up on our time. Give us a little motivated thing that we could use, that others could use when they, hit the wall on the journey. And we're gonna do some more of these, right?
Yeah.
Okay, give us a little something on the way out.
So, whenever you encounter something, no matter what it looks like or feels like, just simply know that everything is going to turn out for your highest good, and that everything is a lesson that God would have you learn.
And with that, thank you for joining me today on The Journey as we share our journey with others so they'll know they are not alone. I'm Reverend Bobby. This is Lisa Ray, And we have certainly enjoyed being here with you today. Hopefully, we can get back to you guys soon. Peace and prosperity to all. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.